forward, follow me. If I hesitate, push me. If I am, may kill me, avenge me. If I am a traitor, kill me.
Gangsters, cops, and politicians, get ready to rock. We're on a mission. Each one of us shares our own vision. When I was on the yard, I went real hard. While I patrolled the streets, all the G's on me. When I was on the yard, I went real hard. While I patrolled the streets, all the G's on me.
Órale pues, it's your host, Gabe Morales. We've been covering Nuestra Familia members over the past 6 decades or so. We have a lot to cover under the M's, as in their arch enemies, La M. So let's get started. First, we have Anthony Chino, aka Little Weasel Macias from Santa Rosa. I showed that he was Nuestra Raza in the mid-1990s under H number 56821. I show that he was indicted under Operation Black Widow around the year 2002, but was not validated. It appears that he was pegged as being NF at San Quentin by the year 2003. I show that he was housed at Pelican Bay in 2005, and I don't know that he ever hit the feds, and I'm unsure what happened to him in recent years. There was Robert Macias Castillo, aka Bobby de Sacra, I believe from the North Highlands area. I show he was Nuestra Familia in the mid-1970s under 2B numbers, 66192 and 67691. I show that he was released, but I believe got popped on some 211s in the 1990s and given D number, 51798. I show that he was released on that number, but then was popped for meth in 2004 and given P numbers in Paul, 95923. And I show he was released in January 2006, and I'm unsure what happened to him. There was Eddie Macias Ruiz, aka Pochi, from Southside Tlacton. I show that he was locked up at Preston in the California Youth Authority in 1977. I showed that he was arrested in the 1980s and given C number 2585. And then I had him at New Folsom in the early 1990s, where he was hanging around the Bulldogs. But I also know a lot of those guys turned new flowers, so I'm unsure what happened to Pochi. If anybody knows, I'd appreciate a heads up. There was Raymond Chico, AKTC Maddox, who was an NF member in the 1980s, who was busted on a burglary charge in 1982 and given C number 54430. I then show that he was housed at CTF Soledad in 1984, and then moved to San Quentin in 1985, where I believe he was documented as being Nuestra Familia. He had multiple parole violations in the late 80s, and then was arrested for a burglary charge in 1990 in Modesto, whereby he was given 10 years. I then showed that he maxed out on his C number, and I'm not sure what happened to him after that. It was Alejandro, a.k.a. Malo, a.k.a. Cano Madrid from Stockton. I showed that he was incarcerated in the 1980s under C number 66586. I then showed that he got out and reincarcerated under E numbers in Edward 11071 and was only validated as being Northern Structure in 1990. Somewhere along the way, he became a Nuestra Familia member by the year 2001. I believe he got out and was reincarcerated at Pleasant Valley State Prison segregation in 2012 under A numbers in Apple, F as in Frank, 5028. But I'm not sure what happened to him after that. There was a Raymond Madrigal Cervantes, aka Ray de Rivas, which is Riverside. I show he was a Nuestra Familia member in the early 1970s under B number 47183. I also show that he was busted with a shank in his possession. I then show that he was housed in Oregon DOC in 1978 at the Oregon State Penitentiary, but I'm unsure what happened to him after that. There was Claude Philip Magallanes out of San Bernardino County. I show he was an NF in 1968 and a participant in the shoe war when he had a number 66505, but I'm unsure what happened to him after that incident. There was Antonio Maldonado from Gilroy, who I show was an NF member in the late 1970s with B number 79905. His sister may have been Linda Maldonado, who was Babo Sosa's first wife, and they had kids together, but he ended up divorcing her and getting with Linda Becerra, who I've spoke about in previous episodes. I believe he was still documented as being NF in 1993 after I left working for CDC. There was a Jose Cheeks Maldonado out of Watson. I show he was NF in the mid-70s with B number 65626. I show he was housed at DVI in 1977 but paroled in November of that year. I then show that he came back and was housed at CRC in 1983, and I believe maxed out on his B number. However, I show that he came back to DVI in 1989 with E number as in Edward. 20704, and I'm unsure what happened to him after that. There was a Robert KJ Maldonado. I'm not sure what value he claimed, but he was indicted on the 2021 RICO case as being an NF associate under BOP number 63361-509. It is my understanding that all those guys indicted on that case were first housed at Atwater. However, since their convictions, many of them have been sent to the BOP, and Robert Maldonado currently resides at Florence ADX Max. He is not scheduled for release until the year 2028. There was Robert Lee, aka Ponyboy Mares, out of San Jose. One subscriber recently asked me about the formation of the Mares family as a criminal entity. I believe he was referring to Pony's family. As you see, he was very close to his mom, or his mommy, Maria, who lived in San Jose off of Betsy Way. I believe his father was also a Nuestra Familia associate, as well as his tios, Leonard and Clifford. I also have information that at one time he had a girlfriend or family member who went by Charmaine Mares out of Tracy. She was known for funneling money to Ponyboy. And as you can see here, although I have Pony spelled Pony, he spelled it Poni. I show he was first arrested by LAPD in 1978, but has never claimed to be a Sureño. I show he was locked up in the CYA in 1982 when he got a parole violation, and very soon was active as a member of the Northern Structure. I then show that he was remanded to the adult system under C number 45193 and put in work throughout his career. Understand he was busted for selling dope in Oakland in February of 1986 and given D number 22481. He paroled in July of 1987 but returned on numerous parole violations. It was at this time that he was business partners with Skip Villanueva, his longtime crime partner. And at one time, they were dealing dope with the Blancos, who specialized in dealing PCP. But that business arrangement soon soured. I showed that he was involved in a couple homicides in 1986 in San Jose, which I believe were part of a RICO case. He was then sent to the BOP under number 89756-011. Once his homeboy Skip Villanueva got caught up in Operation Black Widow and sent to the feds, they both participated in the Sheridan riot, which is a BOP facility in Oregon, in 2003. My understanding is that this was a planned event, and while there, they both schooled and rallied norteños throughout the Northwest, who assisted in their attacks on Sureños. Ponyboy and Skip were then sent to Pollock. Around 2004, Skip ended up catching a body while housed there of an NF dropout turned bulldog, as well as almost killed Charlie O. Snell. Skip ended up going off to the ADX with the other carnales, while Ponyboy stayed back and continued to school Norteño soldados on the northern ways. Understand that Ponyboy was released due to medical issues in December 2016 and died in June of 2017. There was David Joker Marquez out of Southside Stockton. I believe he was the half-brother of Andrew Mad Dog Cervantes and was considered to be Nuestra Raza in the mid-1990s when he had H number 47972. Understand that he put in work for his brother and was made NF by 1997. He was then indicted on the RICO case in April 1998 and sent to the feds with BOP number 108 95-097. He was housed in the BOP and general population, but then I understand decided he no longer wanted to play the game and became a dropout. In that case, I believe his half-brother would have had no other alternative but to have him murdered, even though they're a family. As many of you know, the rules in these prison gang is they come before everything, even your own blood relatives. And I show Joker was released in the year 2008. There was Henry Leprechaun Marquez out of San Ho. I show that he was affiliated with the NF in the mid-1970s, which means he would have had a B number. But I show it was only validated as an NF associate in 1979 by CDC. I show he was let off on that number, but came back in the system with P number 38754, and I believe had dropped out by the year 1990. There was Isaac Gato Marquez, who I understand operated under Goose Garcia in 1998. He then was indicted under Operation Black Widow in the year 2002 as being a Norteño Soldado, but I'm unsure if he ever did any BOP time. I show he was incarcerated in CDC under a double A number as an Alpha Alpha 7210 and was housed in segregation in the year 2012, but I understand was released by the year 2013, and I'm unsure of his current whereabouts. There was Rene Zebot Marquez from Salas, who ran out of the Copas Gallegos car under D number 83181. I show that he was in the Monterey County Jail in 1990 and then housed at DVI in 1991 and was validated as being Northern Structure in the year 1994. I show he was in and out of custody for many years, but I believe, like Copas, is no longer in good standings. There was a Vincent Smiley Marquez out of San Ho. I show he was NF in the late 1970s, which means he would have had a late B number or early C number. I then show he was incarcerated in CDC under H numbers in Henry 31079. I show that he was housed at Folsom State Prison in the year 2002 and was at San Quentin in 2012, then at the Sierra Conservation Center in 2013, and is currently housed at Valley State Prison in Chowchilla. There was a Marcus Rusty Martin out of the San Francisco Redwood City area. I show that he was locked up in the Youth Authority in 1978, but had parole by 1979. He got a robbery beef in 1983, whereby he was assigned C number 70654. I show that he had paroled by the year 2005. I show he had multiple parole violations from 1986 to 1994. He got popped for dope in 1995, but paroled in 1998. I then show that he got popped for dope in the year 2000 and sent to the feds under BOP number 95737-011, but was released in the year 2005. There was an Alan Huero de Sacra Martinez. I showed that he was Northern Structure in the 1980s under D number 34317. I showed that he was caught with a shank at Tehachapi in 1988 and was released on that D number, but came back on the H number of 41979. I showed that he was housed at DVI in 2001 and I believe did some time in Montana DOC, and I'm unsure what happened to him. There was an Albert Doughboy Martinez out of Watson. I showed that he was affiliated with Nuestra Raza in the 1990s under J number 63677 and was validated as being a member in 1997, the year that Nuestra Raza was allegedly disbanded. I show that he paroled in February 2011, but I show was rearrested in May of 2011. And I show at one time was arrested with BJ, Baby Joker Cabrera. I show that he was housed at Corcoran in 2021, but I don't believe is currently in custody, at least not in CDC. There was an Alberto Smiley, a.k.a. Smilón Martinez out of Sacra. He was active with the Nuestra Raza in the 1990s under H number 66289, but was only validated as being an associate at Corcoran in 1998. Understand that he was locked up for attempted 187 and was given 25 years. And rose to the rank of NF by at least the year 2000, and by the year 2012 was considered to be an overall in one of the units. He then was moved to Salinas Valley State Prison in 2016 and at High Desert State Prison in 2021, but was killed by his own on July 22nd, 2022, which is all too common the case. That guys put in a lot of work for the gang only to be eventually ousted or killed. You could do 99 things that are right, but do one thing that's wrong and they'll get you. It was an Angel, aka Young Buck Martinez, out of Goshen. I show that he was given the keys to the San Jose Regiment in summer of the year 2010 by his brother Martin, known as Cyclone or Sykes, when he got swept up. Young Buck was known as being a PCP dealer. I show that he was arrested for a firearm in the year 2012 and was said to have been present when Martin Kung Fu Chacon was killed in 2012. I show that Young Buck was incarcerated at North Kern State Prison by at least the year 2023, where he is currently still housed. There's Benjamin, aka Big Ben Martinez, who was an NF member at DVI in 1977, as seen here. Understand he was let loose on his B number, but came back on E number as an Edward 76607, but I'm unsure what happened to him. There's a Daniel Molina Martinez, aka Dapper Dan, aka Turtle, out of Chiques. He was an NF member in the mid-70s under B number 60818. I show he paroled in April 1976, but I understand was killed by the MA on June 6, 1976, in Oxnard. There was Eddie Blackneck Martinez out of Fresno. He was Northern Structure during the 1980s when I had him at New Folsom under C number 80491. He then was moved to DVI in 1991 and understand became validated as being Nuestra Familia by 1996. He was housed at Pelican Bay State Prison in the year 2000 and at Corcoran in 2012, but I understand was deceased by the year 2014. And so, I'm going to have to stop right there. I told you there's a lot of M last names, but don't worry, I'll be back soon to give you more information about Nuestra Familia members over the past 6 decades or so. For now, this is Gabe Morales signing off for gangsters, cops, and politicians. If I go forward, follow me. If I hesitate, push me. If they, I may kill me, avenge me. If I am a traitor, kill me.
Gangsters, cops, and politicians, get ready to rock. On a mission, each one of us shares our own